for Nigeria. And now NIMC is awake to that responsibility. NIMC is building a card system, that will be able to touch on our lives, such that even if you want to travel, you might not necessarily need to go with multiple cards, maybe financial card, your bank card, your driver license, or whatever. It should be just one-stop shop, So, but that, as I said, can only be fully achieved when we harmonize our data, because you have to harmonize driver's license. You have to, I don't know any country in the world. I say this every point in time. You see, Mr. President keeps telling us at every point in time, a good solution is not good for Nigeria. Nigeria deserves only the best solution, and that's why when you see even the road, the Lagos all the way to Calabar Coastal Road, that's an ambitious project of this administration, which is fantastic. When you look at what Governor Wike, His Excellency Wike, is doing now in FCT, and all the bridges, and you will now see that Abuja is a model and a modern city like any capital in the world, So you can see that this administration, I'm just using these two, as examples. You will see that this administration is not creating an African best solution. We're creating a world-class, world-best solution to world-class solutions, because we understand that what is in vogue today, a solution that is so good today, in the next 10 years might be obsolete. So when we want to prefer solution today, we also try to put into consideration tomorrow's problem, such that it's valid in the next 10, 20 years. And that's what we're doing with NIMC. NIMC, I can bet you, one-stop shop. We harmonize our data. With that card, you don't need to carry your driver license. So NIMC is putting everything together. But we can only achieve that from a technological point of view now, not as an administrator. But of course, I'm an IT professional. That's my background. Only when you are able to harmonize the data, and there's real time. Because there's no country in the world that I know, realistically, that's, an A-class country in the world that I know that you have more than 10, 15 numbers. Today now we have NIN for NIMC, we have BVN for the bank, we have your driver license has its own number.
Are you satisfied with the implementation of the 2019 Correctional Service Act as at today?
No, that is a very honest and simple and direct answer. No, there's a lot we can still do. And that law provides a whole lot of possibilities. And I'm very happy with the level of passion and content that we hear from our Honorable Minister of Interior. So I would just mention some few things that had come up from the discussion, which actually that law actually provides for, that if we can implement. The Honorable Minister spoke very much about the number of persons who are crowding. If we look at Section 12, subsection 4 to 12 of that law, it tells us different things that we could do, especially having the early warning signal activated by the superintendent in charge of the correctional center. And there are different options that has to happen once that activation has happened and 3 months has gone. After 3 months, if nothing happens, then they will not receive, because that should be a way of checking this. The use of non-custodial measures. And this is really something that the Nigerian Correctional Service Act was on. The whole of Part 2 of that law, so from Section 37, sub 1, it gives you the different options. And many of those things can help Nigeria save money. Community service, probation, restorative justice, parole, and all of that. So I think that we need to fully, provide adequate funding for the correctional service to make sure that it's implemented very well. This is not the case at the moment. Even the staffing of the non-custodial directorate is not there. But what has happened is that the structures have been put in place in terms of the structures at the national headquarters of correctional service, the zonal headquarters, and the state, which needs to be commended. But much more needs to happen. I also want to pick on one other point that the Honorable Minister, which is the point around the number of persons in custody. The each problem with us in Nigeria is that we don't even know how many people are in custody in Nigeria. We only have accurate perhaps of those in the correctional service. There are about 18 institutions, 19, that detain people. And why can we not, as a country, have a centralized database of all of the persons who are in custody in all of the custodial centers at any particular time T. Then you can say, okay, 10% of those are in police, 50% are in correctional service. And without knowing the data is saying about the need for integration of data, this is key and we must commend it. But we need to make sure that all of the other agencies, we have to have the population in there. Now, the total number of custodians, so much of a problem. I understand the point that the Honorable Minister is making in terms of the manageability. But you know, now correctional services have been placed in the concurrent legislative list. So we also need to have a clear map in terms of how can that interface happen to states. Maybe state correctional service law, following the model state law that was recently developed last year. I know the states have signed it. I am here in Benin City. It is one of the things I will be talking today. Also discussing the issue of restorative justice, which is one of the things I will be also speaking today. Now, let me quickly mention that it is in the benefit of Nigerians to implement fully the Nigerian Correctional Service Act. It is in the benefit of Nigerians to implement non-custodial prevention because three things. Those in custody, there are people who are innocent, as the other guests had mentioned. Two, there are people who are there for minor offenses and have no business being there, because we need to understand that even if it's 1 hour you spend in custody, there are consequences. There are consequences on the state, both cost-wise, like the minister has mentioned, but that's not only the consequences. There are consequences for the family members. There are consequences in terms of general impact on the productivity itself that person could bring. If people understand the effects of persons being in custody, that will be a problem in terms of continuing. Honorable Minister must be commended for his comments on the issue regarding, when he talked about building institutions. I think that is key. But these things have to be made to continually be sustained over time. Building institution, we have to make sure, like the issue about the fines, the inmates that were on fine that were released, which is wonderful. But we have to put in a process that will be on a continuous basis. The reason is that what happens in custody, two things is the thing. The rates that people are received in custody, and second, the duration in custody. So we have to do things to control these two elements to ensure that people only get to be received in custody when it is as a last resort. And that age that I have mentioned earlier, we need to ensure that section 28 is a key priority so that we can stop this issue of jailbreaks and all of that. Section 28, sub 1, sub 2, sub 3. We need to do something about it.
Unfortunately, the network has paused you there, and also time is also against us on the program. As we begin to wrap up the conversation now, Ibrahim Ahmed Katsina, I'd like you to just give us some other measures that we could take. I'm sure the Honorable Minister is listening to mitigate security threats, internal security threats.
Actually, the issue of NIMC should be a fusion center, not only for the national identity card and what have you, but for other security agencies to tap in. Because if there's proper coordination, I'm telling you, it will solve most of our problems in terms of watch list, in terms of looking for people that are ex-convicts and what have you. It will easify security content initiative in the country. So I think what we should do is, in addition to our own initiative of encouraging integration, not only with other institutes, but the security sector also should be domiciled to be tapping, because we need to have a national fusion center where we can tap information on almost everybody in the country. That will assist us in reducing crimes in the country. And on the issue of border security, madam, I think it's something that, as you have said, Minister, she has already said it, this forum is not enough for you to say everything. We should emphasize on these border community aspects, because we need to see how we can integrate the border communities to assist us in monitoring our national security. And the issue of custodial center is something that you are making robust arrangements. Doctor has made observations, which if we take, I think after this discuss, there are a lot of takeaways that the minister will go back to his table, sit with his team, and analyze and dissect. Actually, our prison centers should not be brewing centers for more crimes. It should be correctional, as the Act has said now. Because if we address the law enforcement system and the criminal justice system, let us talk to our judges. Let them be more emphatic. Empathy should be what they should emphasize on, not enforcement of trivial issues that people should be assisted. As we have said, there are people that have committed little crimes. For some, it's just issue of debts between me and you, family disputes.
Intimidation.
Somebody will say, okay, I have police, I have the judiciary, they will just send you to prison. These are issues, I'm telling you, Minister, if you address them in terms of initiatives and reforms, and since I've shown the passion, you will build structures that will be beyond this administration. And the president will leave a legacy of service that will be commendable and that will be attributed to
Thank you. Thank you, Ibrahim Ahmed Katsina.
Wonderful in this regard and many more. The first thing for NSCDC was for us to have what we call the critical national asset policy to be signed, and it was signed by me, signed by the NSA, and I think been approved by the president. So with this, the power of the secretariat, the power of critical asset maintenance is within the of the NSCDC. So that had been done now, and I have told them very clearly, and I think that's what they're doing now. At the moment, we have over 800 assets, that the NSCDC that are presently oversighting and securing. I've told them I don't want NSCDC doing what the police is doing. There is no room for inter-agency rivalry. Let police do the job of policing, while NSCDC focus on the protection of critical national assets. Minister of solid minerals. So because our minefields are our national assets. And now since we launched the mine marshal, you will see that the report coming from the solid mineral sector in terms of violence, in terms of criminality has reduced, because NSCDC, and that's directly, the mine marshal is directly under the controls of the Minister of Solid Minerals. Of course, the NSCDC, but we train them, they're trained by the military, they're seconded to so we believe that, of course, we have the agro rangers now, to protect our farms, to ensure that we have agricultural supplies, and these are things they should be doing. And of course, issue of pipelines, maintenance, road, and all the power. This is not an elective office. So my responsibility is to bring. So
your aids have reduced.
No, to bring people that will help me, come up with the right ideas to ensure that Renewed Hope finds a final place of domiciliation.
And it's not for the nation now. Not to our constituency.
Thank you so much, Honorable Minister Dr. Olubimetu Diojo, Honorable Minister of Interior. It was really great having you on the program. And of course, looking forward to having you some more times so we can, talk about so many other agencies under your ministry. Thank you so much, Ibrahim Ahmed Katsina, retired Assistant Director General, DSS, former Security Advisor to former Governor Masari, Director, Monitoring and Evaluation, National Institute for Security Studies.
Thank you so much
Thank you so much, sir, for being a part of the conversation. And of course, Dr. Uju Agomo, I'm sure the next time you'll be on, you'll be live in the studio, so Zoom network will not interrupt your comments. Thank you so much, Director of Prisoners, Rehabilitation and Welfare Action, Power, and member, United Nations Subcommittee on Prevention of Torture. Thank you so much for your insight on the program. We do sincerely appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, that's Good Morning Nigeria this Monday, which happens to be Children's Day. Thank you so much for watching. Please make sure you take care of that child, whether yours or that of your neighbor. I'm Ian Ray John.
And I'm Victor as well. Enjoy the rest of your day.